Even though the attempted coup, those of you who remember the coup that took place in 1982 by, a low-ranked Kenya Air Force serviceman that failed to overthrow the then President Daniel Arap Moi's government, the incident had far-reaching implications for careers of Kenya Air Force military officers. The entire Kenya Air Force was disbanded, leaving hundreds and hundreds of military personnel discharged from service. Captain Joseph Mbugwa was one of them. I now leave you with his story on this week's episode of The Military Tales. Good night. I'm Tom Boya. Bye-bye.
Joseph Mwangi Mbugwa had already been trained by the East African community to join the East African Airways in 1975, when in a twist of events, he joined the military instead.
East African Airways or East African community had put an ad. They wanted to train pilots, ab initio pilots. So I applied. At the end of the interviews, 32 of us were selected to go to East African Civil Flying School, which was in Soroti, Uganda. It was while we were now doing ground school for the senior license, which is the Airline Transport Pilot's License, ATPL, that community broke up in 1977, and with it, East African Airways broke up.
That marked the end of the aviation training, but fate had other plans for Mbugwa.
Luckily, one of our instructors who came from Nairobi came to the school and told us that Kenya Air Force was holding interviews for pilots. So the Kenyans that were at East African Civil Flying School, we came to Nairobi and went for the interviews. I was among the ones that were selected in May 1977.
Mbugwa vividly recalls the events that unfolded early morning, the 1st of August, 1982.
I was in my room at the officer's mess when around 8 o'clock in the morning, somebody banged on my door. So I went out to check who it was and found a soldier. I can't remember his name, but a soldier with a rifle. Told me, "Captain, dress up and go to the crew room." I was escorted to the crew room. Said, "What is happening?" "We have taken over the government." I went back to my room, tuned the radio. So when I heard, "Here is chaos." In the crew room, the soldiers with the rifles were around outside. They let us do our own thing, so we did our briefing. We talked what is going on, because none of us knew what was going on.
Mbugwa and his crew had instructions to bomb specific targets.
Okay, of course they gave commands. They came and briefed us and told us, "We want you to go and bomb State House, bomb Voice of Kenya, bomb even Isli Airbase, the operations." They wanted us to bomb. They were targets. They gave us some targets. But after they left, of course they left us to do our own thing. He said, "We are not going to do any of that. But if they force us to fly, we will fly." So two of my colleagues, late Captain David Mutua, and late Captain John Mbugwa, they took off and they came and flew in Nairobi, did all kinds of those maneuvers that would look like they were bombing the places in Nairobi, and flew back to Nairobi. I flew back to Nanyuki. There was yet another one that did that. The second one, I think they had strapped rockets. They came to Nairobi. Of course, they didn't shoot any rockets in Nairobi. They went and dropped the rockets over Mount Kenya forest. Came back and landed. So my colleague and I, we didn't fly.
Unfortunately, Mbugwa was among scores of military personnel arrested and sent to prison.
We looked out the outside of our crew room, and we saw soldiers crawling in the grass. The army had come. We were gathered together somewhere in the field. They checked us. We were not armed. We ended up in the cells. We stayed there for about a week. Then we were taken back to Nanyuki, and we went through interrogations, individually. We were taken to Naivasha Maximum Prison, others to Kamete Maximum Prison. That was in August. Later on in December, I was moved to Naivasha Maximum Security Prison.
Mbugwa was secluded from family and friends and seemed to have disappeared without a trace.
Our families were kept incommunicado. They had no idea where we were. They had stories that we were dead. My family had looked for my wife because they knew she was pregnant, and they didn't know whether I was dead or they thought I was dead. Anyway, at least they would be seeing one of their son's child.
After 7.5 months, in March of 1983, Mbugwa was released from custody.
So on the 14th of March 1983, we were put in a military bus or military lorry from Naivasha, brought to Kahawa Barracks, where they threw all kinds of odd shoes there, told us whatever can fit you, take. And we were given fare. Where are you from? Gatondo. 10 shillings. 10 shillings. Go home.
On the 1st of March 1985, Mbugwa joined the Kenya Airways and was steadily promoted over the years, eventually becoming the captain of the prestigious Dreamliner that is known famously for flying 14 hours directly to New York.
Beautiful aircraft, new technology, using composite materials, so making it lighter, and it's more economical for the airlines.
Although Captain Joseph Mbugwa's military career seemed to have been cut short by the attempted coup of 1982, he has had a successful 35 years in the aviation industry. Reporting for KBC from Nairobi County, I'm Nisi Imano.